Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're here to talk about balancing hormones. If you don't know me by now, my name is Dr. Ross. Thank you for being here. So we're going to talk about a pretty gigantic topic, a lot of things to cover. And so some of the things are topics in themselves, like, for example, how to handle blood sugar. We've got a great video that a star did named Dr. Ross, and it's on YouTube, and you can go there and hear all about it. But some of the other stuff is kind of new stuff. And of course, I keep hearing, if you follow me or read my blogs or do any of that stuff, you know that a lot of the new information comes out and it's always got implications about how it's going to make you sick or make you worse off. For example, a study that came out just recently that said fish oil is bad for you. It gives you prostate cancer. I don't know if any of you saw this kind of thing. But when you really look at the study, it's junk science. So why did junk science get on, CBS and NBC and Fox? Why did all these big companies pick it up? Because the companies that are promoting that are drug companies. They want you to not be on natural things that make you healthy and prevent you from being on their products and so forth. So a lot of the things with hormonal health we had to weed through because there's a lot of junk science out there when it comes to hormones. And before we kind of get into the specifics, let's just talk about what hormones are. So can anyone tell me, in an interactive section of the talk, can anyone tell me what controls every action, every reaction in your body? What is the master control? What system? No. The nervous system. So the brain controls every organ, cell, and tissue in your body. It also controls every gland in your body. So when your brain feels the need to release some hormone, then it sends electrical messages to that part. For example, there's your thyroid gland, so the brain would send information down through the spinal cord, out that spinal nerve to the thyroid gland, and allow the thyroid gland to produce. But there's a secondary control where the brain can send information to other glands, like your pituitary gland, and your gland then releases hormones, and the hormones cause actions in your body. So the hormonal system, whether you're talking about female hormones, thyroid hormones, blood sugar hormones, stress hormones, doesn't really matter. That's a secondary control system in our body. So if that system is out of balance, if we're creating too much hormone or too little hormone, that's a big problem. So your brain may be correct in ordering that gland to produce, but if that gland is not producing, we got a big problem. And so there's lots and lots and lots of ways that we get out of balance. This is the problem, that especially right now, what do they give animals to make them grow bigger and fatter and produce more meat? Hormones. And so those hormones, if we eat that animal, we're getting residues of those hormones. When we eat hormones, it causes imbalance in our hormones. What about Lance Armstrong? He took testosterone and all that kind of stuff, right? And what happened? He got testicular cancer. So, even though they kind of made him a hero initially, when you look back on it now, you say, taking in too much hormones and all the problems that create also create other diseases like cancer in our body. So imbalance is a very serious problem. It's not just, hey, I have headaches, or oh, I have muscle spasms, or I get really nasty during my cycle. Those are just symptoms of a much more sinister problem. So here's the good news. Balancing your hormones will remedy that. And so when you start to balance your hormones, now your brain is ordering those hormones to be released, and they're being released, and that causes action in your body and so forth. Now there is a cycle that goes on, and I keep mentioning the cycle, and we call it the safety pin cycle. Anyone heard of the safety pin cycle? Yes, good. So the safety pin cycle is pretty straightforward. That means that your brain sends electrical messages to a cell or an organ, and then they in turn send electrical messages back to the brain. So it's a cycle that goes on. So for example, let's say that I eat some blood sugar, I eat some sugar, and it goes up in my blood. I'm not a vampire, I'm sorry. At least not that you guys know. So I eat some sugar, and it caused my blood sugar to go up. And so what happens is sensors in my blood will detect the blood sugar and will send electrical messages from the arteries to the brain, letting the brain know my blood sugar has gone up. And then my brain will send electrical messages to my gland that produces insulin, and that in turn will produce the hormone insulin, which in turn reduces blood sugar. So it goes from one step to the next step and back, and you get this cycle. And if all parts are working correctly, then as the blood sugar rises, the insulin rises. As the blood sugar falls, the insulin falls. All because I have that safety pin cycle, that it's going from one place and back. It's always reporting. Now, here's the crazy thing. That's happening hundreds of millions of times per second in your body right now. Your brain is getting alerted of exactly every little indicator in the blood, in the body, what your metabolism's doing, what your blood sugar's doing. All that stuff is happening instantaneously. So it's a pretty cool system. But you have to have your nervous system working right, and then you also have to have your hormonal system working right. Does that make sense? So we're going to talk about, all the specific types, but to talk about women's hormones and men's hormones and a few other things, but specifically women's hormones, I felt like probably we should have a woman do it because, I know it all, but I don't experience it at all. So Dr. Katie here, Dr. Katie Drake is going to talk about, the hormones and the balance and that kind of stuff.
So, and I got a couple jabs from some of the husbands in the group because they were like, feeling hormonal, honey, this is for you. But we will be going over men's hormones as well. So, there you are, don't worry. Well, this is for you as well. So, we tailored it. So, we're going to talk about women-specific hormones and then men-specific hormones and then hormones that affect us all. So, we're going to talk about some of the problems that arise when women are having an issue or a hormonal imbalance. So, here are the main symptoms. These are the most common ones. So, I'll speak up because I know some of you can't read over on that side. Irregular or absent periods pre-menopause. So, you can have a disruption in hormonal activity and that will actually affect menstruation. So, you can actually lose your period because of these problems. Weight gain, this is a huge one. So, if you have a shift in your hormones, this can cause unknown, if you don't even know why, this can just cause weight gain suddenly. So the problem is, generally this happens right in the abdominal region. So if you've ever dealt with that, even if you've never dealt with weight problems in the past, all of a sudden if you're gaining weight in this region, typically it's a hormonal problem. So I'm exercising and I can't lose weight. I hear this a lot when I get new patients. I work out all the time, nothing's budging. So typically when we see that, we're looking at someone with a hormonal imbalance. Irritable, moodiness, that's the well-known one. This is the one that the husbands all deal with. So if you have a sudden change in the balance of your estrogen and even your testosterone. Testosterone is important in women's bodies too. You want to have a constant balance. So if that fluctuates, that's going to cause mood problems. Skin issues. So if you're seeing adult acne, this can be something as serious as PCOS. Have you guys heard of that? Polycystic ovarian disease. So that's actually a problem with insulin and blood sugar. So they're all interconnected, but this can lead to infertility and loss of menstruation. Next one is infertility. So this is one that we're actually seeing on the rise nowadays. People with PCOS, this is a common one. It's getting diagnosed more and more often. If you have impaired sugar tolerance, what's going to happen is it's going to increase your estrogen dominance. You're going to have too much estrogen, and it can lead to infertility. And then fatigue and loss of energy. So this is even if you're getting 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep, and you get up in the morning and you feel like you got 2 hours. So that can be a problem as well. Okay, so what is estrogen? Estrogen is responsible for the growth and development of female sex characteristics, and this is with humans and animals. You have 3 types that are made. There's estradiol and estrone, and those are made in your ovaries, and then the third one is estriol, which is made in the placenta when pregnant. So they circulate in the bloodstream, and they'll bind to estrogen receptors in the targeted tissue. So pretty much everyone knows breast tissue, uterus tissue, but it's also affecting brain, bone, liver, heart, and other tissues in your body. Okay. So it controls the growth of uterine lining during the first part of the cycle, and it'll cause changes in the breast during adolescence and pregnancy, and it'll regulate various metabolic processes in your body. So this will also affect bone growth as well. Okay, progesterone. So I look at estrogen and progesterone. They work side by side. So if you were to compare, if they were, say, twin sisters, estrogen is the one that gets all the attention in the medical world. She's the one that's, you know, kind of notorious for causing all the horrible woman problems. Progesterone's kind of the not as paid attention to sister who, you know, drives her home at the end of the night partying. So she actually does the good stuff in your body. So she'll normalize blood sugar levels. She'll help facilitate thyroid hormone. It'll help you maintain a healthy pregnancy. It's naturally calming, which is something that people don't usually think of with women's hormones, and has diuretic properties. And so it'll enhance the positive effects of estrogen. Estrogen's not bad. It's good that we have it, but she just needs to be kept in check. Okay. Okay. So this is one that a lot of my patients were asking about when we were talking about doing a hormone talk. What is birth control and what does it do? So the hormonal methods, these are the ones that are pertinent to this discussion. So they typically work by releasing estrogen and progestin into your body. So that's preventing your ovaries from releasing eggs. So you notice it's not progesterone, it's progestin. It's actually a synthetically made hormone, so our body doesn't really react to it. We can't process it the way that we should. And the funny thing about that is it's tweaked just a little bit as far as how it's molecularly made. And do you guys know the reason why that is? It's so they can patent it. So it's a moneymaker. So you can't patent something that the human body makes. So that's why I put that in there. So there's oral birth controls. There's IUDs, so intrauterine devices. Implants, that's the Norplant, which it's no longer in the U.S. Hormone shots, so Depo-Provera, NuvaRing, and then the patch. So this is a big one too. I don't know if you guys have heard about it in the news, but they're now trying to push so that girls as young as 13 and 14 can get the Plan B, so that's the morning after pill. You guys all familiar with Plan B? Okay. Social, political stuff aside, what happens with Plan B is it bombards the system with hormones to prevent pregnancy. So it basically stops the release of an egg from an ovary, and if the ovary is released, if it's too late, it's going to bombard your hormones so that it's an infertile environment for an egg to implant. So yeah, now it's available for 15-year-olds with parental permission. This is very new. And in some states, I think in New York, as young as 13 and 14, they can get it if the parents don't opt out. Probably about 3% of the parents actually take the steps to opt out. But I don't know about you, but these are highly, highly drastic medications to be taking. And I have an 18-month-old daughter, and I would be pretty upset if she was taking something that could cause fertility problems down the road. Did you want to add anything to that, Dr. Trish? Because I know that.
Well, you don't need parental permission to get that.
What's that?
15 and over, you could just buy it over the counter. So
right, yeah, it's over the counter. It used to be prescription, but yeah, even in New York, 13, 14-year-olds were able to get it through their school, so the school nurse. Okay, so the problem with hormonal contraception. So many people are on birth control right now. Little do they know, because they minimize it. If you look on the websites, they're always minimizing the effects. But you have increased risk of breast cancer, cervical cancer, high blood pressure, increased arterial plaques, cycle irregularities, miscarriage, lower bone density, headaches, migraines, cramps, yada, yada, yada. It just keeps going on and on. The big one, too, is the blood clots. So you heard about Yaz. Now they're going through lawsuits because women are now getting aneurysms in their brain because it's affecting their blood. Okay, have you guys heard of Premarin? Okay, that's the big one. This is for hormone therapy. So, as a woman reaches that point of menopause, gradually her estrogen begins to decline. So it's a natural process. This is kind of just a kind of comical ad. This was probably about 40 years ago when they first started marketing it. It says that the physician who puts a woman on Premarin when she is suffering from the menopause usually makes her pleasant to live with once again. It is no easy thing for a man to take the stings and barbs of business life, then come home to the turmoil of a woman going through the change of life. If she's not on Premarin, that is. So basically, all these wives are thinking, they're getting the guilt trip, like, oh, I don't want, my husband's going to work, and, you know, he works so hard, and I don't want him to have to deal with my hormones. So it's just kind of a funny ad. Times have changed, right? So basically, what happens in hormone replacement therapy is it's replacing the body's natural loss of estrogen with age with more estrogen. So in the cases where you haven't received a hysterectomy, you need progestin, the fake progesterone, to combat the risk of the increase of uterine cancer. So they found out that these, believe it or not, these hormone therapies were causing uterine cancer. So if you haven't had a hysterectomy, now you need to be on the second medication to combat it. And now hysterectomy is the #1 surgery performed in the U.S. Can you imagine, with all these people on these birth control pills and taking HRT, the hormone replacement therapies, why that might be the case? Okay, so this is you know, if you take a dose of Premarin, this is what it looks like. Most people don't realize that this is what Premarin really is. Did you guys know that? Okay, that's where they got the name. It's pregnant mare's urine. So literally they keep these horses pregnant, they strap a bag under them, and they collect their urine. So they have to be pregnant because it releases a lot of estrogen, so they use that for their drug. And I don't know if you guys, I'm an animal lover myself, and the first time I heard about this was even before I was in chiropractic school. I worked at a horse rescue, and a lot of the babies there were, they were basically byproducts of this industry. So around 2002, when they started realizing that, hey, this isn't working like it should, we're getting increased risk of breast cancer, they dropped the contract with all the ranchers. So now there's all these babies, all these mothers who don't have homes, so they were sending them to slaughter. So that's a double whammy there, you know, if you are an animal lover like myself. Okay, so now they're having second thoughts about Premarin. So did you know that 80% of breast cancers rely on estrogen to grow? So cancer therapies for this kind of cancer, for breast cancer, actually rely on suppression of the production of estrogen. So long-term usage studies, they've also revealed negative side effects of the therapy, high blood pressure and abnormal bleeding. Okay, infertility. So this is huge now. Everyone knows someone who's been on infertility medication or treatments. 16 million Americans are using birth control pills, fueling a $2.8 billion industry. So a woman's natural cycle is composed of rising and falling of those estrogen and progesterone, okay? When you're taking these medications, it's keeping a constant bombardment of that estrogen in your body. So a few years ago, statistics from the CDC, they put the number of women having difficult conceiving at about 10%. So about 1 in 10, and now the most recent survey, it's closer to 16%. So 1 in 6 couples are now having trouble conceiving a child. You hear about it in the news all the time. So what's a girl to do? One thing, you have to get your insoluble fiber. So fruits and vegetables, so making sure you're getting the skins, that actually will bind to estrogen in the body, and then you can eliminate it that way. Okay. So it's all, a lot of it is about diet. So you want to choose organic, grass-fed meat products to reduce your exposure to hormone additives. So he was talking about, you know, the chickens, the cows, all these animals that are being pumped full of hormones in order to produce. Well, that doesn't leave the animal when they kill it. That goes straight into your body. So that's affecting us in that way. Soy products or products with soy. So soy it was thought of as, you know, the health food, you know, 10 years ago, but now they're finding that it has estrogenic properties, so it mimics estrogen. So if you drink a lot of soy, you can have some of these issues too. So you want to avoid that. You know, if you don't drink dairy or anything like that, I drink almond milk. That's a good alternative. Avoid exposure to xenoestrogens from plastics, cosmetics, and birth control pill. So basically, plastics have phthalates in them. Cosmetics have parabens. Are you guys starting to hear about this stuff more and more? All these things that we're literally putting on our body or drinking from, they're leaching estrogenic products into everything that we ingest. If you look at your skin, it's your biggest organ in your body. So, you know, if you think about like the patch, the non-smoking patch, that goes straight into your skin. You absorb it. Same thing happens when you put on makeup, when you put on lotion with parabens in it. You're literally putting estrogenic chemicals all over your skin. And a big one is stress management. So as the body responds to high levels of stress, it'll actually steal progesterone to manufacture the stress hormone cortisol. So that will actually leave an excess of estrogen. So it'll keep you out of balance that way. Stress management is a big one because most people think they can just get through it. I'll just, you know, get through this week. But if you don't properly manage your stress levels, studies now show that your cortisol levels are going to affect every single other hormone in your body. Crazy pills. So these are some of the new ones that are coming out now. So some of them are for women, some of them are for men. So there's something called the career pill. So these are on deck for, you know, getting pushed through to the FDA. Canadian researchers, those darn Canadians, are studying the possibility of a pill that will delay ovulation during your teens and 20s, resuming it again when you're ready to have children. So, you know, when you're 15 and you want to become a chiropractor or a doctor, a veterinary doctor, is that a good time to decide, nah, you know, I'm going to take something that's going to delay ovulation until my 30s? Probably not. They're actually looking at vaccines against pregnancy. So it will stimulate your immune system to shut down some of the functions that are necessary for pregnancy. Male birth control pills. So they're claiming that it's going to protect against prostate and testicular cancer, according to the manufacturers. And that was the same with Premarin. They actually claim the same things for women. Not for prostate, but you get the idea. Using phthalates, so those were those plastic chemicals that I was talking about. They're thinking about using that into a male form of birth control since it's known to depress testosterone levels. So reduce the sperm count that way. So then here's another one. A chemical is implanted and injected directly into the vas deferens, which renders the sperm unable to fertilize an egg. And the effect of one injection can last for 10 years. Crazy. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the men. So symptoms of hormone imbalance: decreased muscle strength, blood sugar imbalances, mood swings and depression, fatigue, weight problems, insomnia, decreased libido and sperm count, and impotence. So you get a lot of patients that come in as new patients. They don't understand how the body works and how the endocrine system works, and they have no clue that these are even related to hormones. So what is testosterone? So testosterone is one of the primary male sex hormones that's produced in a man's body. So he's at his peak in his 20s. Age of 35, there's a steady decline, and then between 40 and 50, you can see a significant drop in these levels. So have you guys seen the commercials for Androgel? Okay, so the latest thing is now it's low T. I'm low T, low testosterone. So you'll see the commercial, I'm sure. If you watch an hour of TV, it will be on there. So they call this the restoration program. So they're going to restore your body to health with this testosterone gel. Turns out it has quite a bit of side effects if you look at the box. So we also wonder, you know, with all these estrogens and estrogenic chemicals in our environment and what we ingest, could it be low testosterone, or are we maybe seeing something like estrogen dominance? So we'll look at some things that cause estrogen dominance. And this is yes. So this is the chiropractic health center team. Dr. Austin Center and 5 women working alongside him. No, but really, what causes men to become estrogen dominant? Our environment and our food. So xenoestrogens. So they're found in air, fuels, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, plasticides, clothing, bug mosquito sprays, personal care products. They're in everything. So you really have to watch what you're putting on your lawn. You have to watch, what you're putting on your body, what you're drinking from. Hormones in our food. So we did talk about the fattening the cattle and increasing milk and egg production. Like I said, that's going straight into your body. And then the use of the synthetic estrogens. So herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides are used by the farmers. If you're not getting organic, that's definitely on there. They're all using it. And then also birth control pills. They are not biodegradable. So what happens when a woman takes birth control? She goes to the bathroom, it goes into our system, and it doesn't get picked up by the filter. So there are significant amounts even in our drinking water if you're not filtering it. So you have to watch out for that, where you're getting your water from. And so we don't have enzymes in our body to modify the effects of all these synthetic things that we're putting in. Our bodies are meant to handle real estrogen, real testosterone, not all these fake things that we're stuffing into our bodies, so we can't efficiently excrete them. Okay, so what about conventional methods? As far as now, testosterone replacement therapy, that's the main thing. So that's the androgel that I was talking about. The only problem with that is our body, as you who are patients here know, has an innate intelligence. So naturally, if you're not using the body parts that are needed to make these hormones, what's going to happen to that body part? It'll say, I don't need to make it anymore. So it'll actually start down-regulating what you used to make. So it'll actually become atrophied. So whether it's synthetic or natural, there are some cases where people do need to be put on some sort of hormones. Even if it's natural, your body's going to develop a reliance, and year after year, it's going to get harder and harder, and you're going to need to take more and more. Okay, so how do we fix the problem of low T? We can alleviate the decline in hormone production through detoxification. This is so important nowadays. Doing a detox once a year, getting your body rid of all that stuff. Even if you're 100% all organic, really watch what you eat, there's too much in our environment. So I recommend, if you could do it twice a year, great, but at least once a year to get those things out of your system. Stimulate the endocrine glands. So removing any neural interference. So why are we here? We get adjusted, right? That's we remove the subluxation when we're getting you adjusted. That's going to release the nerve flow, and it's going to allow your body to heal and produce the way that it should. Counteract the exposure to environmental estrogens through dietary changes. That's one of the biggest things I tell patients in the beginning when they first start care. Change your meats. It'll cost a little bit more, but it's a lot less expensive than cancer. So get your meats from a known source. If you can visit the ranch, awesome. Get them from cows that are grass-fed. They're not put on all those antibiotics because they're not sick like the ones that are grain-fed. So a big thing with leptin is toxicity. So what happens in the case of toxicity is around each cell that you have what's called a lipid bilayer. So it's basically a little fat layer. And what happens is the toxicity the toxins will bind to the surface of the cells. When that happens, it causes them, we're not sure of the mechanism, but it'll cause them to keep releasing leptin. So if you're constantly releasing leptin, that brain's not going to hear it. It's going to say, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry all the time. It also is going to cause a chemical release of cytokines, which that actually damages the physical receptors in the brain. Another thing is avoiding too much sugar. So this is a big problem for my sweet tooth. Sugar is in everything, and the average person in America eats like a 5-pound bag of sugar a week. If you're looking at sugar coming from white bread, sugar coming from other sorts of grains, and then also sodas, things like that. What sugar does is it's going to cause inflammation in your body, so that's going to cause problems with the surface of the cells as well, and it's going to create more fat cells in your body, and then it's going to cause that leptin to be constantly flowing, kind of similar to the way diabetes is. Okay, so we kind of already went over those. Cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone. So this is the one that kind of gets put on the back burner because we as Americans, we work 90 hours a week and we have kids and we, drive here and there, and we're just a very busy nation. Cortisol is secreted by the adrenal glands. So it regulates blood pressure and the body's use of macronutrients, and it affects the release of insulin and your body's ability to convert sugar into energy. So if you're getting chased by a tiger, you want that cortisol pumping, right? You want it to, empty out all your sugar stores so you can, jam out of there. The problem is it becomes harmful because when it occurs in minor everyday stresses, you're getting a constant bombardment of that cortisol. And we're, as a society, we're just used to it. We just grin and bear it when really we need to do the exact opposite. If you have stress in your life, you need to figure out how to eliminate it. So it can be caused by emotional stress from, grief or loss, a poor diet. So the standard American diet is also known as SAD because we eat horribly. That'll increase inflammation and increase cortisol in your body. Okay, so the drawbacks of too much cortisol. Crazy cat there. So suppressed thyroid function, lowered immune response, loss of muscle mass, which also is going to slow your metabolism. You'll have chronically increased blood sugar because your body's releasing that sugar. I got to run away from the tiger. I got to run away from the tiger. But you're not running. You're sitting on a computer stressed about work. Insulin resistance. So that's a precursor to type 2 diabetes. And the accumulation of body fat from the stress eating due to an overstimulated diet will actually cause what we call metabolic syndrome. So this is kind of a new thing coming out. It's a group of risk factors linked with increased risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, obesity, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. So it's kind of all those meshed into one, but we're seeing it more and more nowadays, right? Okay, so how do you manage your cortisol? Lay off the caffeine. So cortisol actually, in times of stress, it will increase your cortisol output. So if you're going through a stressful situation, you might want to wait on the coffee for a while because it'll actually make it even worse. Exercise efficiently. So I'm a runner myself. I know we have a few runners in here, but low intensity, long duration exercises such as jogging will actually, it's good because it lowers your resting heart rate and your blood pressure, and it's good for your cardiovascular system. However, if you do it for extended periods of time, like marathon runners, it'll actually increase your cortisol. So about after an hour of prolonged exercise, it will increase your cortisol over time. So cortisol is going to stimulate your appetite. It will increase fat storing and slow recovery from injury. So like I said, I like to run, so I still run, but the key is to balance. So fit in that surge training, get it in a couple times a week to balance that out, because the surge training will actually balance your cortisol as well. So surge training, we've done workshops on it in the past, but I'll briefly explain it. So you go 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So basically, you can do push-ups, 20 seconds, as hard as you can. The more difficult it is for you, the more you're pumping out that human growth hormone, the more you're getting rid of the cortisol, and the more you're releasing the testosterone. Then you take a minute break, you do it again, you take a break, and then you pick another exercise. So you really only have to do like 3 exercises. It takes about 12 minutes to do surge training. So how nice is that to get an exercise done in 12 minutes and you're doing amazing things for your body, sometimes even better than an hour-long run. So isn't that nice? Okay, getting adjusted. So when you're out getting adjusted, tension is going to build up in your muscle and your spinal structures. So corrective chiropractic care is not only going to relieve tension from your muscles and your joints, but the nervous system itself. And like he was saying, a fully functioning nervous system is vital. And then schedule relaxation. So prayer, meditation, nature walks, journal writing, all of that's good. Anything that's going to allow you to cope, even if it's just for 10 minutes at the beginning of your day. If you just sit and focus on relaxation, it'll change the rest of your day. And it's going to increase, they've shown just 10 minutes a day of meditation will decrease your cortisol levels. And it's going to have a significant impact on the rest of your body. So, keeping your hormones balanced. So, you guys have all heard, most of you have heard about the 5 essentials in our office. This is your magic bullet. For all of these issues that we've talked about, any hormonal imbalance, this is key to correcting that. Okay, so getting proper sleep and avoiding stress, so that's the max mind aspect of it. Positive outlook, healthy relationships, avoiding and eliminating toxic foods and products, so that's the minimizing toxins, and then also doing a detox to get rid of the ones that have gotten into your body. Proper diet, so grass-fed, free-range, organic-only meats, healthy fats, organic vegetables and fruits, so maximizing your healthy nutrition. Proper exercise. You can run, try and get those high-intensity, short-duration workouts scattered throughout if you can. And then getting adjusted, so maximizing nerve supply. So that's key because that's going to control every single function that goes on in your body. Okay, so here are a couple tools that we have in our office. I just thought I'd throw them out there because people usually ask after a talk like this. The detox system, it's a daily detox. That's what we use in our office for the most part. We've had a lot of patients get great results with that. It's just basically it detoxes at the cellular level. You've heard of, the liver detoxes and the bowel detoxes, all of those. This actually will go in at the cellular level, remove the toxin, and then it has a binding system that will allow you to eliminate it. So that's an option. If you're looking to detox, I think most of us have used it in here. A fish oil is going to be great. We do sell a fish oil in our office to help decrease the inflammation in your body. That's going to decrease pain. It's going to help you deal with the cortisol inflammation. And then here's a book. We don't have any in our office right now, but it's called Maximize Living Nutrition Plans, and I live by this. Basically, my entire diet is based off of that. But it teaches you how to eat properly in order to regulate your hormones. So in the book, it talks about leptin, it talks about insulin, it talks about where our diet's gone and how to avoid what the rest of the country is doing nowadays. In order to get results that are different from what's happening to the rest of the country, you have to do something dramatically different than the rest of the country. So it gives you a guideline on how to eat, and it gives you a grocery list, so how to navigate the grocery stores, and then it also has some good recipes in there. So we've done a recipe night in here, and a lot of the recipes were from there.
What's the name of that again?
It's Maximize Living Nutrition Plans, and it's I think you can get it on what's that called? Amazon. I think it's like around $25. You might be able to get it used. We can probably get it for a little bit cheaper if you guys wanted to, go in together. We could get a bulk order. I'm not sure how much that would be, but just let us know like in the next week if you're interested, and then we can just get a bulk order for you guys. But that is the end of my PowerPoint. So if you want to wrap things up.
So we're all basically perfect the way we are right now. We're perfectly adapted to what we've done to ourselves. If you haven't exercised at all, you probably look like someone that hasn't exercised at all. Yeah? But you're perfectly adapted. Your intelligence within your body has adapted to that environment. If I was raised in the hot sun, I was raised in the desert, my skin would be perfectly adapted to the hot sun desert climate, right? Because over time I've adapted to that. However, if I change that environment, if I move from someone that's never exercised and I start exercising every day, what happens is my body starts to readapt. I start to become adapted to someone that exercises. That's my new environment. Does that happen overnight? Does it happen in 1 year? Does it keep happening over 10 years? So when you're talking about balancing your hormones, there's no magic bullet. So for example, I quite often will recommend people go out and get DHEA. It's a supplement that is a precursor for hormones. So it doesn't necessarily give you more estrogen or progesterone or testosterone, but it does give you a precursor for whatever your body's trying to make. If your body's trying to make testosterone, it makes more testosterone. If your body's trying to make estrogen, it makes more estrogen. I like it because I'm not throwing in estrogen and then your body says, oh, now there's estrogen, I'm going to produce less estrogen. You're really just putting in the precursor. That makes sense? Eating lots of raw vegetables of different colors and different sizes and different shapes is a great way to detox your body because it latches onto some of the toxins. That takes some of the stress out of your system. Doing a detox like the daily detox is a great way to pull all the junk, all the heavy metals and stuff out of your body, which puts a tainted strain on you. And there's other hormonal systems that weren't mentioned today, like the thyroid system. How do we test for that? Well, we do a blood test. And then when we find out what part of your system is not working, if your thyroid is not working or if your pituitary is not working, then we put programs together that's going to feed those organs. Not replace. We don't give you synthetic thyroid hormone. We give you nutrition that's going to stimulate the thyroid so that the thyroid can do its own job. Make sense? So rather than going to specifics, if you want to get tested for any of these hormone systems, just let me know and we'll order the tests. A lot of times insurance covers it and it's fine. Then we can say definitively if yes, it is your pituitary gland that's a problem, or no, it's your thyroid gland that's a problem. Make sense? So when we talk about, and another great one is the brain chemistry. So and everyone's heard of Monsanto, the awesome, most incredible company in the world. I just read an article that said the 10 reasons why Monsanto is the worst company on the planet. And it started way back when. I mean, just about every bad thing, like saccharin, for example. Saccharin's an artificial sweetener that causes what? Cancer. It's well known to cause cancer now. Who makes it? Monsanto. Who makes NutraSweet? Monsanto. So NutraSweet, if you drink a lot of diet soda or a lot of diet drinks, which are totally natural, I'm sure God totally created that, right? But if you drink a lot of those kind of things, it messes with your brain chemistry. It actually imbalances your brain hormones. And when you do that, what else follows? Well, your brain doesn't function real well. Your brain can't send electrical messages out to your body real well. And all of a sudden you start having MS-type syndromes and all that kind of stuff, even if it's mild. What happens if you haven't had the symptoms yet? Think your body's in perfect shape? Drink more diet soda. See what happens. So one of the easy things is stop toxifying your body. Start filling it with healthy, God-made foods. God-made foods is what?
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables that are, okay, fruits and vegetables made by Monsanto? Monsanto? Because they make fruits and vegetables. They make genetically modified, junk. Yeah, grow your own or go start buying organic. Real simple. So the mind, we talked about that. One thing I really want to point out is quality sleep is vital. Quality sleep. We were just talking about that a little while ago about REM sleep. What's REM stand for? Anyone? Awesome. Rapid eye movement. That's where we get our quality sleep, is the rapid eye movement. If I take so there's 3 levels. There's twilight, there's REM, and then there's a third level, almost like a semi-comatose level. We get quality sleep in the middle, REM sleep. We need REM sleep. If I take a sleeping pill, what level does that put me in?
Probably
The third or even the fourth. So do I get quality sleep when I take a sleeping pill? So these kind of things, when you get quality sleep, your body rebuilds throughout the night. So you rebuild, your glands reset, your hormones reset, and you do much better. So if you're not getting quality sleep, that's something you have to look at. Am I sleeping at the right time of day or night? Am I in the right position day or night? Is there other factors? Am I drinking too much caffeine, or am I stressing out, or all those kind of things? So getting quality sleep, really important. How many hours a night should you sleep, by the way? 8 to 9? How would I know? I don't know. I don't know how many you should get. How do you feel if you get enough? Better. How do you feel if you don't get enough? How do you feel if you get too many? Tired. So if you're waking up tired, that's a pretty good indication that you're either sleeping too long or too little, right? Or you're not getting enough REM. So you got to change One of the big things that I tell people is don't try and take everything that you hear tonight and implement everything. Take one or two things and implement. So if you're waking up tired every morning, make a change. Change how you sleep, change the position you're in, change the hours that you sleep, go to bed early, wake up late, whatever it is.
Pain pills too.
Of course. Yeah, pain pills. Anyone can tell me the #1 prescribed sleep medication for seniors? No? You guys don't study the same? No? Not? Lunesta is what you said? Ambien, no? No. Think pain pills. Vicodin. Vicodin is the #1 prescribed by MDs, prescribed pill for sleep problems in seniors. They give Vicodin. Why? Because it knocks you out. Does it knock you into the REM sleep? Heck no. So burst training, Dr. Katie mentioned burst training. Burst training is gigantic. I always tell people to do the vibration. Why? Because the vibration stimulates your cells, stimulates those receptors, bombards your brain with positive, what we call proprioception, movement type neurology. That tells your brain that things are going on, and it actually has a very positive effect on your hormones. It's been shown scientifically to increase testosterone levels shortly after you do that. So vibration, movement is very important, but not just any movement, bursting. Go fast, slow down. Go fast, slow down. Trick your body, and when you do that, even if it's for very short duration, you can do a full workout in 12 minutes, and they've been shown over time specifically your sex hormones really balance out, specifically your testosterone in men. If you're just doing, like some people go on the treadmill and they just go real slow, 20 minutes, real slow, not going to get much out of that. But if you go fast, slow, whether 20-second burst, 30-second burst, 40-second burst, doesn't really matter. You're going to get so much more out of that hormonally. Avoid sugar and hydrogenated fats. Sugar especially, high fructose corn syrup. A lot of times if people are really out of balance in their hormones, and we can test for that, we're going to recommend a liver cleanse. Why a liver cleanse? Anyone? You guys don't read my blog? That's where you filter, but also where you change high fructose corn syrup into glucose. We don't use fructose as a sugar source or as an energy source. We only use glucose. Glucose is the only sugar we use. So if we take fructose or galactose or sucrose or any other sugar or lactose, we have to convert it into what? Glucose. Where do we do that? In the liver. So we got sludge in the liver because if you're eating a lot of man-made foods, that's all high fructose corn syrup. And so doing a liver cleanse pulls all that stuff out of you, and then if you start feeding your body, even if you eliminate sugar, that's one thing, but if you start feeding it natural sugar, instead of buying sodas and stuff, if you're going to have sugar, eat real sugar, and you will find that your liver functions a lot better, and then the hormone system functions a lot better. Detox, so supplementation, there's a whole lot of things that I could talk about with supplementation, but suffice to say the two that I strongly recommend is omega-3 oils and vitamin D. Those two specifically are the things that most people are imbalanced in. So if you balance those things, then you're getting a good amount of nutrition. Question?
You mentioned DHEA. I had a patient ask me the other day, is that something that they should stay on? Do you recommend for how long?
So it's generally a 3-month cycle. So 3 months is enough time to readapt. So is it 1 week? Should I say, I don't feel better, it's been 1 week? No, it's got to be 3 months. So, but if they have noticed very positive changes in 3 months, I might recommend another 3 months. But if they kind of got better and then petered out, then we'll take them off after 3 months. So I'm not a big believer in staying on things for long term. Like for example, the glucosamine and the chondroitin. If you take it and it works really well for you, stay on it. But if it peters out or if it stops, then stop taking it. There's no point in doing that. Just basically waste money. So the omega-3s, vitamin D. Vitamin B is very good for stress. Vitamin B12 specifically very good for the nervous system. Thyroid and liver support, we talked about that, DHEA. Biggest one though, get adjusted. Why? Because the nervous system controls the hormonal system. If your nervous system is not functioning real well, if you've got a lot of subluxation that's binding, that's choking off the nervous system, your brain is not communicating well with your whole body. So, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are all patients, but if you are not getting adjusted, if your family's not getting adjusted, then most likely your nervous system is not at its peak levels. And you're only as good as your nervous system, because your nervous system is what controls every aspect of your body. So if your nervous system is only at 80%, even if you do all the other 5 essentials, keep your mind real good, detox your body, you eat real well, you exercise real well, you can still only be at 80%, because that's how high your nervous system goes. When you get adjusted regularly, it affects your nervous system first and foremost. But on top of that, keeping your spine moving also bombards your brain, just like the vibration, with positive impulses. Keeps your body at less tension, so that allows you to help fight stress and that sort of thing better. So one of the big things is make sure you're getting adjusted regularly. That's a huge component of balancing your whole body. Because we don't really talk about, yeah, I can talk about balancing hormones, but really what we're talking about is balancing you. Giving you all the pieces of the puzzle. If you have all the pieces of the puzzle, you can put the puzzle together. But if you only get half the pieces, and that's what really bugs me about the medical system, is they say, well, when diet and exercise don't work, you're missing you're missing at least 60% of the puzzle, right? And they always say, when diet and exercise don't work, then take a pill. Well, the pills take you away from balance, not towards it. So we want to try and get off pills as much as we can and rebalance. How long do you have to do that for? Initially. And then what?
Forever.
Then forever. Yeah, how long do you have to exercise for? Forever. How long do you have to eat right for? Forever. How long do you have to get adjusted for? Forever. Question.
If you've had a hysterectomy, so you have one organ and the other one shutting down,
Right.
and giving you this hormone thing. If you were to stop that and get it through food and other things,
Mhm.
how would you know when you're getting enough?
Well, you have to test for that. So when people do get a hysterectomy, or if they have certain organs removed or whatever it is, then they may indeed be lacking the organ that produces that hormone. And so in that case, you have to supplement or you have to take a prescription. And so that's a very fine line, obviously. So for example, in a type 1 diabetic, you don't produce insulin. So when the blood sugar goes up, your brain tells your pancreas to increase insulin, but it doesn't do it. So the blood sugar just stays up and up and up and up and damages the whole body. So that's where you have to inject yourself with insulin to create that balance. That's a good example of where prescriptions are absolutely vital. And so sometimes we find that people have to, like, for example, I just had one the other day where their pituitary gland was producing thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, in huge doses, but their thyroid wasn't producing anything. So their T3 and T4 were not there. So I have to conclude that the thyroid's not working. So what do? We get prescribed T3 and T4. Yeah, it's artificial, but if the thyroid gland's not working, we got a big problem there. That makes sense. So I could give all the supplements, they could be exercising, they could do all that stuff, but if the thyroid gland's not working, that's what it is. And it turns out she had a tumor on her thyroid that was stopping everything. So that's extreme example, but that's what we'd find out through testing. And if any of you guys are interested in getting tested, just let us know. We can write you that prescription. You do it in an outside lab. Question?
What if you've had the total hysterectomy, so your body's not producing any hormones? Is there anything you can do other than take?
Yeah, the same thing, the 5 essentials. So you still work on those things. Here's the cool thing about the human body. There's overlap. So it's not just your ovaries that produce estrogen and progesterone. There's other areas that will produce that. We can also produce it from the food. So for example, soy, we talked about soy. When you take in soy, we can actually convert that to estrogen in our body, in our liver. So when your body's low, there's other ways that it can produce. Now, if it's not producing, then you have to prescribe. But if you are low in something, then changing your diet over time can cause your hormones to start coming back to balance. It's a pretty cool thing. Apparently God knew what he was doing. Any other questions?
I was interested in the surge training. So if you only need 12 minutes of surge training, what if you do yoga or something relaxing? How long would you recommend that? I mean,
well, those are two very different things. So yoga is more of, it depends on how you do it, but yoga is more of a low intensity but high strength and isometric type exercise. So I would do both. I would do burst training to get your needs met over here, and then do yoga training to get your needs met over there.
would be the amount of time? Half hour?
Well, yoga classes will vary quite a bit. So you can do as little as 20 minutes, or you can do as long as an hour and a half.
So 20 minutes would be as good as like doing 12 minutes of surge?
No, so the totally different. So surge training, burst training will work a totally different system of your body. So with burst training, you are using that short-term burst type of part of your body. I said it when I was doing a talk about a year ago. I asked the room, how many people have done a sprint? It could be 10 meters or 10 yards for you Americans. How many people have sprinted 10 meters in the last year? Nobody put up their hand. How many people have sprinted in the last 5 years? Maybe one or two. So that kind of system is not getting used. Now, I don't care if it takes you, 2 minutes to sprint 10 meters, 10 yards. It doesn't really matter. But the act of going fast or going hard or doing, like I could have everyone stand up and just march in place as fast as you can go. That still, is that type of exercise. Whereas the yoga is more of a stretching movement type of exercise. So the two are totally different. I would, if you're got a whole program going, I would do that on Monday, do that on Tuesday, maybe do that on Wednesday, do something else on Thursday, and try and do something every day.
So you can't really overdo on yoga. You just,
no.
Until you feel relaxed.
Well, you can certainly overdo, but yeah, obviously everyone's a little different in that respect. Yeah, you can overdo anything. Runners like Dr. Katie, and they tend to really overdo it. A marathon is the ultimate example of overdoing it. Who needs to run 26 miles? That's crazy talk. It is completely stressful for your system. Bragging rights, I guess. I don't know. Any other questions? Thank you so much for being here. God bless you all. We'll see you now. By the way, next month we're doing a workshop on how to raise healthy children. We're going to talk about vaccines. We're going to talk about specifically the Gardasil shot and why you should never get that, and no one you should ever know should get that. But next month we'll be doing that. So God bless y'all. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you soon.